Posed you here with my first big mod of the year, which, I don't know, it's a little late, it's February, but hey, time and life happens. But this is what I'm going to be calling the Winter Tracker, because my kind of inspiration for it was a snow or winter camo. I didn't actually do a camo pattern, but I took the colors, the white base with some gunmetal gray and black accents, and I put some little black details throughout it. And that's where I got the inspiration for it, was looking at, well, snow or winter camouflage patterns. And no, I wasn't going to actually take the time to hand brush on a camouflage paint job. I might actually do another blaster in the future and do a camouflage hydro dip, because I do like, say, like the desert camo or urban or winter camouflages, because I like the colors in them. But this blaster, of course, was based off of the thermal tracker, which, kudos to Busby. These little panels are all removable very easily. They just snap on and off. So you can, if you're like me and you like a very clean looking paint job without having to do tons and tons of detail work, or being very careful to either tape off or stencil off areas, you pop these off. And if you like the color that they are, put them back in. Or like I did with what used to be a purple section here on the grip as well as the foregrip, I did 5 coats of black over 2 coats of primer, and then topped it off with 2 coats of a glossy clear coat, and it looks like a factory black. But it's not. That was actually purple underneath. I know, crazy Adventure Force versions of Busby's paint jobs. Because this was a bright green, and again, it had 2 coats of a gray plastic primer with 5 coats of white over it. Now, overall on this, I'm pretty pleased with the paint job. I did some very minor detailing, and I also did a number of internal mods. I'm going to put you over here to the workbench, and we'll take a quick look at it.
Now, bringing you over to the workbench here, what I have is, of course, again, the thermal tracker. And I'm going to show you a little bit more of the detail work. And all this was this is supposed to be vent holes, and I filled them in with a couple coats of black, and some of the fake screws, topped them off with black, a couple little spots where there's a little accent line. And then again, you can get a good look at the panels that are pop in and out. And also the trigger, it had molded in fake indentions. Well, I just found a drill bit that matched the size of the indentions. I think it turned out to be a 3/16, and drilled them out, and that gave it an actual skeletonized trigger, and did all that. Now, it is missing the stock for now, because I haven't decided exactly on what I'm going to do. The paint job on it didn't adhere as well, so I'm not pleased with it as it is. But the blaster itself, it turned out quite well. But the stock, I'm either going to repaint it and keep it as is, because I'm not too annoyed by the length of stock on this, or I'm going to try and adapt it to handle a worker stock and just use some of the hardware from the stock, as in the factory shoulder stock. Yeah, you can actually say stock, and it works in this way. Now, as far as actual mods, the blaster is currently running off of a 7 kilogram NFStrike spring. I just happen to have a whole bunch of them on hand. It's going to get a more proper upgrade to either a Orange ModWorks 8 kilogram, a Worker 9 kilogram, or if I can locate who will actually sell a Turf Springs Retaliator spring. I know at one point they had an 8 or 9 kilogram in the past. That's what I would like to actually place in this, because my goal is that this needs to stay at 150 feet per second or lower, because this year is when I actually plan to try to get at least a small group together to here locally where I live for some wars. And I think that 150 and under is a really, really good way to keep it to where it's accessible to everybody while still being fun enough for us who want to mod. Now, to get up to the, right now it's running on the NFStrike 7 kilogram, it's running in the 130 to 140 range, depending on what darts you use. And to get it there, that is actually a sealed pusher breech, going with 17/32 into 9/16. 9/16 does not provide a super air seal. But the reason why is that you can actually use the Precise Pros in 9/16. Yeah, I'm shoving it in this way, but it shows you Busby Precise Pros will slide just fine through 9/16. Now, you can see the first one of multiple tightening rings. Now, tightening ring is where you take your tube cutter, and instead of actually cutting, you rotate it around the brass a few times so that it starts to dent it in. Once it dents it in, it will actually hit the foam, almost like pinching it, and create an air seal. Now, not as good as the 17/32, but when you have 4 sets of tightening rings within the first, I put them all between the first 3.5 inches, I believe it was, it hits just enough to not drag on the head of the Precise Pros too bad, but it does contact the foam. So this will fly out fairly nicely, and it almost has a silenced effect. I'll load one in here, and so far it has fired quite well and loaded quite well out of Nerf, Busby, and the worker mags. It goes in. Let me get this here on camera, and when you pull the bolt back, it actually will chamber the dart smoothly, and then let's get the dart net here, and there we go. Nice firing, and so far it has worked with every single magazine. I used actually one of the, if you guys follow me on Facebook, you'll already have seen the pictures with this mag. This is how I align my breeches. I'll use one of the clear magazines from the NFStrike, because you can place the brass through, you can operate the bolt action or a slide or your pump action and watch the brass run through it, so you can work out your alignment before you secure everything. Now, one thing I do want to reach out to the community, any of you who are fans of this channel, the barrel is, of course, I have actually used wraps of electrical tape, very common technique, around it to secure it into the faux barrel. The thermal tracker, one of the reasons why I chose to do it is because, of course, I love bolt action, period. Yes, I know people prefer pump, but for me, I love bolt action. But it actually has an insert of a faux barrel. It's very large diameter, and it's removable. I've still made it to where it can be removed. I did not lock that down in place, because just by putting a couple wraps of electrical tape around the faux barrel, secured it in the shell more than good enough. And the reason why I wanted the brass barrel is so I can put a scar or an Accuratio attachment on here. I'll probably do the Accuratio because it doesn't drag as much on the dart, so you don't lose as much velocity, which means I can still run like a 8 or 9 kilogram spring and not stress the blaster so much, because I want to build for durability. I don't need extreme power. Again, like I said, I want it to stay under 150 feet per second. No need, I don't have a need for more than that. If I do, that's why I've got a long shot build that I've been putting off. It will come in time. That'll be my high performance blaster. And I would like to reach out to somebody who has access to 3D printing and see if they also have a Busby tracker, whether it's the thermal version or just the regular tracker, if they would take their faux barrel and 3D print some replacements. Because what would be awesome is that you could interchange your barrels. Like, say if I wanted to drop in another front portion of the sealed breech with 17/32 and run like half-length workers, then you could use the same blaster, pop it apart, which doesn't take long with this, pop it apart, put your 17/32 front section in, and a half-length adapter, and then run that for a higher velocity. And then if you want to, swap back to your 9/16, put full length darts in it, get back under that 150. Because running half length darts out of a 17/32 barrel, you're probably going to go from 150 feet per second. You know, if this was on an 8 or 9 kilogram spring instead of 7, it'll probably bump it up the typical, 20, 30, 40 feet per second. So all of a sudden it would become 180, 175, 180, 190 feet per second blaster. Which would be awesome to have that kind of swappability. Yeah, it's a field teardown, but in all reality, you have a grand total of, you have 2 screws here in the grip, you have 2 here in the pistol grip, so that's 4, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 4 plus 11 is 15 screws. Total of, 5 to 10 minutes, you're barrel swapped. And that would be awesome. 1 barrel, or 1 blaster, 2 setups for 2 different purposes. That's long-term goal, but for now I'm really, really happy with this blaster. This is going to become, I think, one of my go-to primaries. And when Homely down there, when he gets his group going, I'm going to probably travel and see him, and this will be one of about 5 that I bring with me to run for the day, because I know he's hoping by the end of March maybe to get going. And Homely, if you need any blasters, I am starting to get a surplus. I would happily bring a couple down there to donate, as well as some darts if you need. But for the focus of this video, this thermal tracker, now coined the winter tracker, I am quite happy with it. If you guys actually like this kind of video, just showcasing a mod, showcasing what I've done and chit-chatting about it, I will actually do a true range test of this thing once weather clears. I'm sure if you guys have seen anything about the Kentucky, Tennessee area, yeah, we're flooded. There's no darts flinging outside right now. It's all workshop right now, but this is fun for me. This is going to be about the first of about 10 builds I do here over the next 2 months. So definitely keep an eye on the channel. If you like these kind of videos, I will do more of them. And if you would rather see more along the lines of the guide, then I can do that as well. But again, this is my host Jake. If you stayed to the end, I appreciate you watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, thanks for watching.